All right, let's talk about those moments when your car tries to send you a message you just can't understand. Today, we're going to crack a really common one for Mitsubishi owners, error code P0826. So picture this. You're just driving along, minding your own business, and then, bam, that little check engine light pops on. It's that universal feeling of dread, right? Your car is definitely trying to talk to you, but what on earth is it saying? Well, if you've plugged in a scanner on your Mitsubishi, you might get this very specific, kind of cryptic message, P0826. It sounds like a bunch of technical jargon, but don't worry. Today, we're going to translate it into plain English. Let's dive in.
Okay, first things first, let's think about this a different way. An error code isn't just some random problem. It's actually a message. It's a clue your car's brain is sending you, pointing you exactly where you need to look. So what does P0826 actually mean? Well, it points right to a problem with the shift switch assembly. Just think of it like this. It's the part that tells your transmission what gear you just picked. Park, reverse, drive. The code is telling us that somewhere along that communication line, something's gone wrong. All right, so we know what the code is talking about. Now, for the fun part, let's figure out why it's showing up. It's time to put on our detective hats and start investigating the usual suspects. Diagnosing any code really follows a simple path. We've already done step 1. We read the code. So now we're on to step 2, identifying the most likely causes before we finally zero in on the specific parts we need to check out. So, as we dig in, we find that for this specific code, P0826, it's not usually just one thing that could be wrong. Instead, we have a lineup of 3 main suspects that are almost always the ones responsible for this error. Yep, just 3. So let's meet our primary suspects. Getting to know each one is going to be the key to cracking this case. Okay, suspect number 1 is the selector lever assembly itself. A good way to think of it is as the messenger. When you move your gear shift, this part sends that signal over to the transmission. And obviously, if the messenger is broken, the message just doesn't get through correctly. Next up, we have the wiring harness. Now, if the lever's the messenger, then the wiring is kind of like the car's nervous system. It's the highway that all the electrical signals travel on. Any damage to those wires or connectors, and that signal gets lost or scrambled along the way. And our final suspect, this is the big one, the transmission control module, or TCM. This thing is the brain of the whole operation. It gets the signal from the lever, processes it, and then tells the transmission what to do. So if the brain itself has a glitch, the whole system just falls apart. Okay, so we've met our suspects. Now for the most important part. Let's talk about the solutions, because for each of these potential problems, there's a very specific fix. And the good news is, the connection between the problem and the solution is refreshingly simple here. Is the selector lever assembly bad? You replace it. Is the wiring harness damaged? You replace the bad wires. And if it turns out the TCM is the culprit, you guessed it, you replace the whole module. It's a very direct, one-to-one fix. So here's the most important point in all of this. Just guessing and replacing parts is a great way to waste time and money. The whole point of a diagnosis is to pinpoint the exact reason for the failure. Is it the messenger, the nervous system, or the brain? Knowing the answer is what saves you the headache. So let's wrap this all up. If you're going to remember just a few things from this, what should they be? Here are the key takeaways. First, when you see code P0826, it means there's an issue somewhere in the system that communicates your gear selection. Simple as that. Second, there are really only 3 main places to look: the lever, the wiring, or the control module, the TCM. And finally, the fix is targeted. Once you find the part that's failed, you just replace it. The source article for this explainer put it perfectly. It said that understanding the cause is essential for troubleshooting. And that's really the power of what we just went over. You're not just reading some random code anymore. You're actually understanding the story your car is trying to tell you. So you're not in the dark anymore. You're armed with real knowledge about what could be wrong and what it takes to fix it. The only question left is, now that you've cracked the code, what's your next move?